Acha. Anyone here tried crypto? This is not about crypto, but anyone out of curiosity, okay, you tried crypto. So there's some very brave people in this room here. Okay. Uh, so the presentation you could say is divided into two parts. The first would be why should people invest? Why should people invest in India to begin with? And why should people invest in stocks? Because India, where you can invest in real estate and private businesses. And then, once we are clear on that, then we'll move forward from there. Okay. So next. So why invest in India? India is one of the fastest growing economies in the world, and last fiscal year it attracted $83 billion in foreign direct investment. So why does that matter? It matters because you could look at the world capital market as a playground, and because of globalization आप अपना पैसा कहीं पे भी इन्वेस्ट कर सकते हैं. अमेरिका में लगा सकते हैं, यूरोप में लगा सकते हैं, चाइना में इन्वेस्ट कर सकते हैं, इंडिया में इन्वेस्ट कर सकते हैं. So why is the big money coming to India? They can go to US as well, they can go to Europe as well. इसलिए जा रहा है because they understand the potential of the Indian economy. So it says the largest population in the world. And when I was preparing this presentation just few days back, मैंने इसकी heading लिखी थी the largest youth population in the world, right? And I had to let's just so मैंने लिखी थी India has the largest youth population in the world, but as of today, India has overtaken China in terms of population, and we are the most populated country in the world. Let's just wait for 2 minutes to azan ho jaye. Just 2 minutes, huh? बंद कर दीजिए, ठीक है. अम्मा तुम भी बैठ जाओ. How many people here have heard of Warren Buffett? Very famous investor, right? So I want to make a point about Warren Buffett and why we should invest in India. So Warren Buffett has an investing career of around 70 years at this point, right? More than 70 years. तो वॉरेन बफेट का जो अर्ली करियर था, द 1950s, उसमें किसी को पता है उनके एनुअल रिटर्न्स कितने होते थे? वेरी अनरियलिस्टिक अकॉर्डिंग टू टुडेज सिनेरियो, बट ही यूज्ड टू गिव एनुअलाइज्ड रिटर्न ऑफ 40 to 50%. और अब उनके एनुअलाइज्ड रिटर्न is more around 10%. Recently, it got better last year, but over the last 10 years, he had been for many years underperforming even the index fund, S&P 500. The S&P 500 over the last 20 years gave 8% return annually. तो ऐसा क्यों हुआ कि वॉरेन बफेट की शुरू की इन्वेस्टिंग जो है वो ही इज गिविंग 50% रिटर्न्स एंड नाउ ही इज गिविंग 10-15% रिटर्न्स? Any guess? He's considered the best investor in the world. That could be one of the reasons. उसकी जो सबसे बड़ी वजह है वो ये है कि आज से 60 साल पहले, 60-70 years ago, America was still a developing country, right? It was still on the upwards, right? Now America is a developed economy. It has hit a plateau, right? Uh, India is still developing, right? And I think India will take few more decades to reach at that level. So investing in India today is like investing in America 50 years ago, So that is why India is attracting, almost $100 billion if you approximate it of foreign direct investment. And India has the largest population in the world and also the largest youth population, the third largest group of scientists and technicians in the world. What does this mean? For example, China, जो early 2000s था उसमें चाइना में इन्वेस्ट करने का क्रेज था, एंड चाइना गेव प्रीटी गुड रिटर्न्स. ओके, तो चाइना के साथ क्या हुआ? चाइना वाज द लार्जेस्ट पॉपुलेटेड कंट्री इन द वर्ल्ड, लेकिन उसकी जो यूथ पॉपुलेशन थी दैट वाज ऑन द डिक्लाइन, राइट? एंड नाउ चाइना इज द सेकंड लार्जेस्ट. लेकिन इंडिया के साथ ये प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. द इंडियाज पॉपुलेशन एंड इंडियाज टैलेंट विल ओनली ग्रो फ्रॉम हियर, right? We have not yet hit the peak. So that is one of the reasons to invest in India. And in terms of like different metrics that we can track, India used to just a few years ago rank below 100th in terms of global competitiveness in different areas. So these are infrastructure, healthcare, electricity, internet, all these different metrics that you measure in a country. So it has jumped almost 50 ranks in the last few years. That's another reason. Another reason is the center of global maritime trade will shift from the west to the east. It has already that shift has already taken place in terms of China becoming the major manufacturer of the world. लेकिन अब क्या हो रहा है कि manufacturing hubs are moving away from China to three countries. What are those three countries? Vietnam, Mexico, and India. And what is the reason for that? China is not a very stable country in terms of its rules and regulations. It's pure authoritarianism, a pure dictatorship. तो जैसी लास्ट ईयर चाइना की एडटेक इंडस्ट्री एकदम बैन हो गई, प्राइवेट एडटेक इंडस्ट्री. सो पीपल नेवर नो कि वहां कब क्या हो जाए. सो द ग्लोबल मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हब्स दे वांट टू रिड्यूस देयर रिस्क of Chinese authorities, and therefore they are diversifying to other countries jahan cheap labor ho. And one of those countries is India. And India has already benefited. This is called China plus one policy, right? China se move agar hum log karen to then where do we go? So India is the best option after China, and we have already seen Apple manufacturing their iPhones in China. Apple is now manufacturing their iPhones in India. Another big reason is decoupling from the US market, right? So this BSE Sensex gave a return of 6%. This is when global markets all across the world were down. Not only the US market, बल्कि आप कोई भी स्टॉक मार्केट उठा के देख लीजिए, they were down. The only three stock markets that did well globally was, as I said, India, Vietnam, and Mexico. And the reason is that the world trade is moving away from China to these three countries. So those are strong reasons to invest in India. Then why should you invest in stock market? And I think, a picture says 1,000 words. So this is a graph of the value of Sensex. What is Sensex? Sensex is an index that tracks the top 30 companies in India, and then gold and silver and FD. So the lowest return there is by FD. So FD gives an average of 7.5% over the last 40 years. uh, Gold has given slightly better returns at 8.7% annualized. Silver has given 7.7%, and Sensex has given 15.6%. So this is the huge difference. This is enough to sort of understand that Sensex, basically meaning stocks, are better uh, assets to allocate our capital to. Okay, but somebody might say, if this is too good to be true, right? अगर इतना अच्छा है stock market, then why is it that everyone not put their money in stock market? उसकी वजह, you can just look at these ups and downs. People cannot digest this volatility, and this is why most people get out. In fact, they get in at the wrong time and they get out at the wrong time. इस चार्ट को देख के मैं बता सकता हूँ आपको कि ये जो इतना स्पाइक आया, most people would have entered the market over here, और जब मार्केट गिर गया, most people would have taken an exit over there. यार ये तो स्टॉक मार्केट में तो कुछ नहीं होता है, and we just lose money. And it happens every time. It happens every time. So stock market is a great place to build long-term wealth, but not for short-term speculators. Warren Buffett says that if you cannot buy a stock for 10 years, don't buy it even for 10 minutes. It's not worth it. Another thing he says कि stock market को stock market ही मत समझो, और stock को stock मत समझो, बल्कि stocks के पीछे जो company है, उस company की value समझो, and then pretend as if the stock market has been shut down for 5 years. And then if your company was good, then you would have been, you would have had decent returns on your investment. Just because आजकल it's so easy to check stock prices 24/7, so people keep checking. और वो जो है emotional stimuli मिलता रहता है, buy sell buy sell buy sell, and most people cannot hold for the long term, right? So that is why. So this is another chart of Sensex. So okay, so market as a whole always moves up. Okay, last 20 years, Sensex has given 15.7%. S&P 500, which is the index for the US market, has given 8.2%. But an average retail investor, okay, DIY means do-it-yourself investor, has made only 2.1%, right? There's an investment bank called JP Morgan, so ये उनकी research है. So why is it that an average investor makes lesser than inflation, lesser than gold, lesser than bonds, only 2.1%, right? So इसकी क्या वजह? There are many reasons, one of which I already discussed. They entered at the wrong time, they exit at the wrong time. So that is a lack of discipline. You are supposed to keep investing in good companies over the long period of time, and not worry about the daily and the monthly fluctuations. A lot of people who are in the stock market, I see they act on tips. कोई WhatsApp group join कर लिया, या कोई Telegram group join कर लिया, या इसने बता दिया उसने बता दिया कि this stock might go up, that stock might go up, without actually doing the due diligence, without actually understanding what the company does. So that is a recipe for disaster. Another thing is absence of proper diversification in portfolio. There's a very strong saying, there's a proverb, don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? So let's say you do your research, और आपने 10, 20, 25 बहुत अच्छी कंपनीज सेलेक्ट कर ली, 10-15 कंपनीज बहुत अच्छी सेलेक्ट कर ली. Even then you cannot predict the future, right? You will still be wrong. And the best investors, such as Warren Buffett, do you know what his hit rate is? Like, how many percentage of times is he right? He's the best investor in the world. He's right 60% of the times. So even the best of the best are right 60% of the time. If you only have 1 or 2 stocks in your portfolio, and if that doesn't go well, you're down forever. So diversification is important. और diversification किस तरीके से होता है, we'll talk about that. And then they don't know when to get out of a position. Just because a company is good doesn't mean you just keep holding it. If it gets overvalued, then you should take an exit. So I have sort of condensed the act of building wealth in just two things. Okay? And we'll elaborate on that further as we go down the road. So the act of building wealth is as follows: build a portfolio of companies that add value to the economy, because that value is what is supposed to reflect in your portfolio, right? This value है जो revenue generate कर रही है, profit generate कर रही है, economy में employment generate साल बाद it will not be worth 100 crores, it will be worth probably 10,000 crores. अगर आज से 10 साल पहले किसी ने TCS में इन्वेस्ट किया होता, या विप्रो में इन्वेस्ट किया होता, या इन्फोसिस में इन्वेस्ट किया होता आज से 20 years पहले, तो their financial conditions would have been much different. The Indian IT export, the value of Indian IT export is more than the combined value of all. You should bet on companies. The second point is aim to get 17 to 20% returns annually. This is enough to double your investment every 4 years, or 10x your portfolio every 13 years, so on and so forth. Okay, a lot of people who get into the stock market, they get with attitude, yeah, I want to get rich quick. Multi-bagger is the buzzword here. Ye stock mein khareed loon, this will go up 2 times, 3 times, 5 times. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. अगर आपका पैसा, अगर आपके 100 रुपए 115 रुपए हो रहे हैं, और फिर वो 115 रुपए 130 रुपए हो रहे हैं, और 131, तो that is enough to build humongous wealth, right? Warren Buffett is worth around $300 billion or something, $400 billion. And he made most of his wealth after the age of 65. And he started investing when he was 17 years old, right? So, and his annualized return over this period is 20%. So, अगर आप सिर्फ 20% return generate कर रहे हैं, and you're doing that every year, over the long term, it's enough to be humongously successful, right? So again, the same point, recipe for success: find good companies, construct your portfolio with great companies from different sectors, and balance it with gold and silver. So this is one thing that we do at Ethica. We also add gold and silver to our portfolios. So around 90% will be stocks, and around 10% would be different commodities to counterbalance, because gold and silver often moves in opposite directions to equity. So उस fluctuation को थोड़ा सा balance करने के लिए we add that as well. And then rebalance the portfolio when you find better opportunities, or when thesis on one of your companies turns out to be incorrect. अगर आपने सोचा था कि ये company बहुत अच्छी है based on certain factors, but like every quarter company की quarterly report आती है, con calls होती हैं. If that's not turning out, if the story is not turning out true, then you should take an exit instead of just hoping कि यार ये company ठीक हो जाएगी, right? And you should move forward. So all this is required to build a good portfolio, right? So this is not easy for an individual to do. This is not easy for a person who goes to a 9 to 5 job to do. So that is what investment advisors are for. So this is a brief diagram which shows that what we do at Ethica Invest. So the investment universe, there are 6,819 companies listed on NSE and BSE. NSE is National Stock Exchange, Bombay Stock Exchange. So this is the methodology we use, and at the end we have generated a portfolio of around 15 companies, right? So we look at qualitative factors, we look at quantitative factors, right? Quantitative factors में तो general accounting आ गई कि भाई उसका revenue कैसा है, उसकी income कैसी है, return on equity कैसा है, return on capital employed कैसा है, PEG ratio कैसा है, price to earning ratio कैसा है. That's simple mathematics. But we also look at things like industry tailwinds, बिजनेस मॉडल, जो कंपनी का मैनेजमेंट है उसका एक्सपीरियंस कैसा है, उसका रेप्यूटेशन कैसा है, all those things. So this is a very high level overview of how we look at it. Just one word, what is industry tailwind, right? So industry tailwind is the China plus one example that I gave you. For example, a lot of chemical companies are moving away from China and setting up their factories in India. So that is the industry tailwind for the Indian pharmaceutical company, for the Indian chemical industry and pharmaceutical industry. So that is what we do at Ethica. Okay, so this is the portfolio that we currently offer. Okay, so around 70% is small cap companies, and 10% are precious metals, and the remaining are mid cap and small cap, mid cap and large cap companies. So I'll give you a rationale of why we have built this portfolio the way we have built it. You know, तो इंसान की जो एक नेटवर्थ होगी, that will be naturally divided into different asset classes. You'll have cash in your bank account, you will have certain properties like flats or your home, you will have a piece of land, and then you will decide कि जो मेरी इतना पैसा है उसमें से a certain portion I'll allocate to stocks. मैं स्टॉक पोर्टफोलियो बनाऊंगा. तो जो स्टॉक पोर्टफोलियो होता है, दैट बाय इट्स वेरी डेफिनेशन इज समथिंग which in our mind is supposed to give us superior returns. We are taking an extra risk there, and we want high growth, and that high growth comes from small cap companies, right? If a company is already 100,000 crores, then that's not going to go very far, right? So our job is to identify small cap companies. Small cap companies, any company जिसका मार्केट कैप 5,000 करोड़ से कम का हो. Mid cap is 5,000 crores to 20,000 crores. Large cap is more than 20,000 crores. So we are extremely growth focused. So we find companies which we believe will grow at least 20% per annum in small cap, and we have a very long term investment horizon, at least 5 years. And then we do have other asset classes as well, like mid cap and large cap. ये क्यों है? ये जो हिस्सा है, they act as an anchor to the portfolio. If small cap में volatility बहुत ज़्यादा होती है, तो to sort of neutralize that volatility, there will be some large cap companies जिनको market downturn से भी फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. So they will, if the portfolio, let's say small cap index fell 5%, so your portfolio will fall only 3%, right? And we also have precious metals. तो अगर जब stock गिरता है तो precious metals बढ़ते हैं. So it will act as a counter effect. So that's how we build the portfolio. Right? This is a sectoral analysis of the portfolio that we have. So we have around 17% allocation to the chemical industry, 10% to precious metals, 7% to around 7% each to capital goods, pharmaceuticals, power generation, textile, trading, glass products, plastic products, and steel. This is the portfolio as it's standing right now. And obviously we are always researching the stock market, because that is what we do as a company. तो अगर हमें लगता है कि किसी सेक्टर में टेलविंड्स बढ़ने वाली है, तो वील इंक्रीज एलोकेशन टू दैट, एंड विद इन दैट सेक्टर इफ वी फील कि certain companies will do well, so we increase our allocation to that, right? For example, why have we added precious metals? So silver has given 20% return over the last 3 months alone, because there is so much volatility in the stock market. तो उसको compensate करने के लिए gold and silver are up. So that is the sort of holistic approach that we have. Okay, and when we give this portfolio to you, so we are investment advisors, so you will have the flexibility to execute in terms of amount and time. So how much you want to invest, when you have the time to execute, that is at your discretion. Okay, and then we do rebalancing, so you cannot just invest and forget. On a monthly, quarterly basis, we provide support on rebalancing. So जो portfolio हमने बनाया है, we did a very vigorous back testing. So back testing is basically software simulates कि यही portfolio इसी approach के साथ अगर आपने previous years में चलाया होता तो उसकी क्या performance होती. So this is the 12-year back testing of the portfolio that we have done. So the annualized return is around 25%, but you can see some years it's very high, some years it's down. Okay, and it's well suited for people who have at least 5 years of investment horizon, ideal for moderate and aggressive investor profile. So this is just the nitty-gritty details of what I've already explained to you. And at the end, I'll share this presentation. I'll mail this presentation to all the attendees. A little bit on our fee structure compared to other investment products. So first, I always like to take a hit on insurance products, because I think the worst thing you can do with your money is buy insurance with it. और आपने एक चीज और नोटिस की होगी कि आपका जो बैंक है, बैंक मैनेजर है, he would always be pushing you to buy insurance more than any other thing. And the reason for that is they get very high commissions on it. They get 6.5% commission. and then expense ratio is 8.5%. तो उनको पैसा grow करने से मतलब नहीं है. They are just there to provide you a cushion when you need it. और अगर 1,000 लोग इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम लेंगे तो उस 1,000 में से 10 से 15 लोग क्लेम करेंगे. So growing the money is not their concern. The mathematics is rigged in favor of the insurance company and against the policy holder. So that's one of the reasons. Mutual fund, I'll say two things about mutual funds. First of all, they have commissions, their expense ratio is higher, and then 90% of the mutual fund have underperformed the index, right? What is the index? Index is जो मैंने आपको Sensex दिखाया. There are many more indices like Nifty Mid Cap, Nifty Small Cap, Nifty 500. तो जो भी म्यूचुअल फंड अपनी कैटेगरी का इंडेक्स होता है एक्टिवली मैनेज्ड 90% of the time they underperform the index. So and then you add to that the expense ratio. So we are more cost effective compared to other investment products, and you can diversify as well. You can have mutual funds, and then you can also have your own direct demat account where you manage your portfolio according to the advice that we give. Another thing about Ethica is the portfolio management that we are offering is non-custodial. So an investment advisor never touches your money. He never touches your stocks. So we'll never take, if you invest 10 lakh, 20 lakh rupees, we never take that money. Or if you have 10, 20 lakhs, 50 lakhs worth of stocks, we'll never have that stock. It will always be with you under your custody. All we can do is give you advice on where to invest and how to invest. So that counterparty risk is also not there with investment advisors. So this is something that I've already explained. 70% is in small cap, 7% in mid cap, 13% large cap, and 10% precious metals. This is a new portfolio that we have designed, keeping the macroeconomic conditions in terms of inflation, in terms of interest rates, and what is going on in the stock market. So this is a new portfolio that we have launched. इसमें से बहुत सारे जो stocks हैं वो हमारे पिछले portfolio में थे, and we believe, and they've done very well, and we believe they'll continue to do well. So most of the stocks are same, but there have been some additions, including precious metals, which we believe will be good for this year, right? And online platform will be launching soon. It's almost ready. So it will be something like small case, if you guys have ever used small case. So what happens in small case is you can log into the portal through your demat account, right? And let's say you got in, and let's say Piyush wants to invest 5 lakh rupees or 10 lakh rupees, 20 lakh rupees. So you will just enter, I want to invest 20 lakh rupees. And this is my risk profile. और आपकी जो पूरी order book है, वो आपके broker की तरफ से आपके Ethica के dashboard में आ जाएगी. And you can just click invest in one click. All that order will be executed and delivered to your demat account under your custody. We will just have access to monitor those holdings. So whenever we want to rebalance or do anything of that sort, we can directly do that. उसमें भी आपके पास notification आएगा, and it is at your discretion whether you want to execute your order or not. And all of this is apart from जो investment advisor और client के बीच में जो usually relationship होता है, that is mostly through personal connection like calls and messages and mail. So जो reports होती हैं, जो rebalancing updates होते हैं, that all comes through mail. That is how we have been handling our clients up till now. But this online platform will add to the experience essentially. Okay. This is just another backtesting we did of this is our portfolio. This is the composite portfolio. Composite index is simply कि हमारे जो उसमें large cap, small cap, mid cap combined है, तो अगर हम उसके respective indexes लेते तो उसकी combined performance जो है वो ये होती, and the performance that our portfolio delivered is right there. These are our top 3 performers in our portfolio over the last 2 years. Now those are extraordinary returns, और हर portfolio में 3-4 stocks ऐसे होते हैं which do well. But as you can see, our returns are a testament to the fact that most of our companies, in fact 90% of our companies have done extremely well. So the overall return over a 5-year period is 20 years, and moving forward based on our outlook of the economy, we sort of expect to at least give 20% per annum return, right? So this is sort of about Ethica and what we do and how we do. Now this is simple mathematics. What happens when you invest consistently? Okay, Let's say you start with 10 lakh rupees today, okay, और आप 10 लाख रुपए इन्वेस्ट करें इन अ पोर्टफोलियो, एंड आप अपनी सैलरी से हर महीने यू जस्ट इन्वेस्ट 35,000 rupees, right, which is easy for a lot of people, and we are assuming a very modest return rate of 18%. So what will be your portfolio value at the end of 10 years? It will be almost 1.6 crores. Your total contribution is 40 lakhs, approximately 42 lakhs, and your end balance is 1.6 crores. That is 4 times your investment, almost. Okay. So 18% is not an extraordinary growth. It is a very modest growth. But with just this modest growth, over a long term, your 10 lakh rupees of initial investment with, let's say, 35,000 per month investment has turned your portfolio into 1.6 crores, and your total contribution, including your monthly, is 40 lakhs over 10-year period. So this is, this is how Warren Buffett got rich. This is how Charlie Munger got rich. This is how Peter Lynch got rich. These are some legendary wealth managers and investors. So investment is all about the long term. It's about diversification. It's about investing in good companies, and we help our clients, do that and make it easy for them. So that is it from my side. You can check out our website, or if you scan that, it will take you to a form. So if you want us to get back to you, so you can fill that form with your name and email number. You can contact me here. And if there are any questions, I would love to, answer any doubt or anything.
Okay, thank you for your explaining things very easily. You said a lot of positive things about our economy. But as far as the stock market is concerned,
Yeah.
I think it's very volatile.
Yes, I made that point in the very beginning. Yes.
One of the main reasons for this is most people go for short-term trading.
Yeah.
They aim to get rich quickly.
Hmm.
But I think another very concerning aspect of our stock market is heavily dependent on foreign financial institutions. So that is something which is beyond the control of the companies in which I invest. So I have a good piece of advice which you gave us to go for long term.
Yeah.
Long term investment, that's good. But I'm very worried about the effect of foreign financial institutions.
Okay. So, you could understand, I mean, आप तो economics पढ़ाते हैं university में. So, one of the things that Adam Smith said in his famous book, Wealth of Nations, who's considered to be the father of capitalism, right? That there's an invisible hand in the global economy, right? और जो भी, whoever makes the best use of that capital will reach that person, so फॉरेन कैपिटल इसलिए नहीं आ रहा है क्योंकि लोगों को हमारे ऊपर रहम आ गया, या आउट ऑफ देयर जेनरोसिटी दे आर गिविंग अस मनी. नो, दे आर गिविंग अस मनी फॉर अ रीजन, दैट वी आर परफॉर्मिंग एज अ कंट्री. Our industries, our corporations are generating more revenue growth than companies in other nations. That is the reason that they're giving. It's not like you were shocked mein de rahe hain, right? So as long, and as I said, the different factors that lead us to believe that India will continue to grow at least for the next 20-30 years. So the foreign direct investment will only increase. 80-90 billion dollars is nothing. It's nothing. The global equity market is more than $100 trillion. So abhi, I believe it has just started. And some years it will be high, some years it will be low. कुछ साल FDI ज़्यादा आ जाएगा, कुछ साल withdraw भी कर लेंगे. But if you look at a trend, then I believe this is just the start. Any other question?
You are talking about most of us stocks for long-term investment, right? There is the concept of trading as well.
Yeah.
So you talked about the small cap and larger caps. So if you invest in the small cap more amount, you are at more risk also.
So there are many ways to look at risk. एक तो है कि आपकी पोर्टफोलियो में वॉलेटिलिटी ज़्यादा रहेगी. That is true. आपके पोर्टफोलियो में वॉलेटिलिटी ज़्यादा रहेगी. But if you are at point A and you want to go to point B, right? So you go like this or you go like this, it doesn't matter, right? So that is why I said कि Warren Buffett says कि invest and then forget that there is a stock market. जैसे आप अगर घर खरीदते हैं या आप ज़मीन खरीदते हैं, तो आप ऐसा नहीं है कि मंडे को ज़मीन खरीद ली, ट्यूसडे को फ़ोन करके पूछ रहे हैं यार आज कितना प्राइस हुआ, वेंसडे को फ़ोन करके पूछ रहे हैं यार आज कितना प्राइस हुआ. आपको पता है कि यहाँ 5-6 साल में प्राइस बढ़ेगा, नेचुरल सी बात है, राइट? सेम फॉर small cap companies as well. So there is volatility, but sort of to counter that argument, volatility हर चीज में होती है. One of the biggest companies in the world is Facebook, now called Meta. Meta was down 65% last year. Large cap का भी large cap है वो. Tesla is down 55% over the past 1 year, right? तो ऐसा नहीं है कि आप large cap में करेंगे तो कोई volatility नहीं होगी. Volatility is everywhere. It's about choosing the right sector and the right company at the right time and then getting out. So that's there. Having said that, yes, मतलब mathematically, if you compare, so yeah, small cap do have more volatility than large cap. Uh, hmm. Yeah. हाँ, वैसे भी कर सकते हैं. एसआईपी तो इसमें भी हो रही है. हाँ, बिल्कुल. मतलब we can do that calculation. जी, जी. नहीं, inflation consider 18% is the net absolute return. हाँ, this may some years this 18% might be 10%. Some year it might be 25%. Some year it might be 0%. As in the average performance of the NSE 500, the top 500 stocks, historical return.
I have two questions.
Yeah.
First is, we as investor, we know we invest on stocks as per our SIP mode or bulk mode, but we don't know what the right time to pull out. Company has done good, so we know that okay, this might do good or might go back to its what is it, the lowest 52 weeks. But when should we withdraw the money? Suppose we have put a large amount of money in that particular stock.
Yeah.
So what is the right time to put it back?
So there are two things I would say there. First of all, market timing is impossible and no one has done it. तो बहुत लोग ये इस बात की कोशिश करते हैं कि they get in when the market is low and they get out when the market is high, and it's hardly ever possible. So if your investment horizon is let's say 5 years or 10 years, तो उस 10 साल में कम से कम 2 साल ऐसे हुए होंगे कि आपका रिटर्न नेगेटिव रहा होगा. ठीक है. बट अगर लेट्स से यू स्टार्ट एट year 1 और पॉजिटिव, year 8 is negative, year 9 is negative, year 10 is also negative, तो 3 साल से आपका पोर्टफोलियो नीचे जा रहा है, and then you want to take out money, even then it's not a problem because those 7 years of compounding is इतना आपका पोर्टफोलियो एक्सपोनेंशियली बढ़ गया होगा कि even if your portfolio is down 30% from 3 years ago, it is still up 300% from 10 years ago, you know. So that is the point that I was trying to make. If you invest consistently over the long term, तो अगर किसी वक्त पैसा निकाल भी रहे हैं तो it doesn't matter, your compounding will not get affected. Am I able to answer the question? No, I think. And then one more thing to answer.
Last month I got a tip of to buy a central bank. Buy a central bank. I bought in 5,000 shares. And after 2 days I got and it shoot up like 10 rupees from 30 rupees it came to 40. And then I got a tip like sell it off. And for that tip I sold it off. And again came to 30. So we don't know how things happen.
हाँ, तो ये तो ट्रेडिंग हो गई.
That's what I was not into trading.
हाँ.
I got a tip ना कि आप खरीद ले. तो what? And 2 दिन बाद मैं उसी फ्रेंड को बोला बेच दे.
हाँ.
So that is what we don't know, like how to they get the tips. I don't know how to they.
सो जो बाइंग और सेलिंग हम लोग करते हैं इन्वेस्टमेंट से, दिस इज ट्रेडिंग। इन्वेस्टमेंट में कैसे करते हैं? इन्वेस्टमेंट में ऐसे करेंगे, फॉर एग्जाम्पल सोना BLW is a company, Dixon is a company, so Dixon manufactures electrical components for different companies including जो Xiaomi के phones आते हैं, Redmi के, और बहुत सारी कंपनी, और जो EV बन रहे हैं आजकल इलेक्ट्रिकल व्हीकल्स, उसके लिए ये सारे लोग जो है पार्ट्स बनाते हैं। So this company had been doing amazing over the past 5 years. लेकिन in 2022 उनका जो PE है, PE is price to earnings, was above 100, right? Normally a PE should be between 20 to 30, let's say. आपकी अगर कंपनी 100 रुपए बना रही है, let's say आपकी कंपनी 1 रुपए बना रही है, तो आप उसके लिए कितने रुपए देंगे? So average PE for Indian stock market is around 20, राइट? तो 1 रुपए की अर्निंग से 20 रुपए का स्टॉक होगा, 100 रुपए की अर्निंग्स पे 2000 रुपए का स्टॉक होगा, राइट? तो आप ये देखिए कि कंपनी का एवरेज पीई ओवर द लेट्स से 5 इयर्स या लास्ट 10 इयर्स क्या रहा है। एंड इफ द स्टॉक हैज शॉट अप वे टू मच और एवरेज पीई से वो बहुत ज्यादा ऊपर चला गया है, then that is a signal to sell. That is when we sell. And then you wait for it to come down. It always comes down. If it's still a good company, you wait for it to come down and then you buy it.
One question I have. Let's suppose I have a particular company which I bought and it is giving 20% positive return. And we know that okay, this company will suppose one particular week that company has gone 5% down. Still I have a profit 15%. Should we keep on buying that stock so that but my average is going to shoot up?
So it doesn't, no, when you average, it doesn't shoot up, क्योंकि वो उसका जो प्राइस है वो ऊपर भी जाएगा और नीचे भी जाएगा. Sometimes you will be buying when the company is slightly more expensive. Sometimes you will be buying when it's slightly cheaper. तो आपका जो SIP जब आप करेंगे मंथली बेसिस पे, तो आपको एवरेज प्राइस ही मिलेगा हमेशा ओवर द लॉन्ग टर्म. कुछ महीने आपको महंगा मिलेगा स्टॉक, कुछ महीने जो है सस्ता मिलेगा. दैट इज द पॉइंट ऑफ SIP. एंड व्हेन यू बाय अ कंपनी लेट्स से जिसका स्टॉक वर्थ है 2000 रुपए आज, इट डजेंट मैटर वो 2000 से वो 2100 हो जाए या 2200 हो जाए, बिकॉज यू होप कि इन द नेक्स्ट 5 years दैट स्टॉक विच इज वर्थ 2000 should be worth at least 4000 5000 in the next 5 years. तो वो 100 रुपए 200 रुपए ऊपर नीचे हो रहा है, so it shouldn't bother us.
It happens with me whenever I buy a new stock, it keeps falling. जैसे खरीदा लोग गिरने लगता है.
That is investor psychology. जब वो बढ़ेगा, then people get too excited. जब वो गिरेगा, then people will like it falls. But if the company is good, over the long term, it's supposed to go up. One question that I couldn't answer about inflation. Just a second. So, for example, these are different returns, right? Inflation is around 5%. ठीक है? तो आपको ये देखना है कि you should invest in asset classes which are giving you return more than the inflation, so that you still have some real returns left, right? अभी तो inflation बढ़ के बहुत ज़्यादा हो गया था 2022 में. It's still around 8% as of right now. But on average, it fluctuates between 4 to 5%. 3% is the mandate जो central banks को maintain करके रखना है inflation. In all countries, it's between 2 to 3%. 3% से ज़्यादा inflation है, then central bank is supposed to do something to reduce that inflation. So if you are just keeping money in cash, your money is being eaten away by inflation. If you are keeping money in fixed deposit more or less उतना ही return देता है जितना inflation होता है. So your real return is nothing, right? So that is why you should invest in stocks, so that even if you subtract inflation, there is something significant left. So yeah, that was the point. जी जी. That is up to an individual person. मतलब मैं ये एक blanket statement नहीं दे सकता हूँ. For example, if someone is earning 50,000 rupees per month, वो कितना percent invest कर सकता है is very different from someone who's earning 5 lakh rupees per month, जी. So अगर कोई 2 से 3 लाख रुपए कमा रहा है, let's say 3 lakh रुपए कमा रहा है, let's say उसकी monthly expenditure is 1 lakh rupees, so he has 2 lakh rupees of extra left, ठीक है? And a person earning that much, I'm sure, has enough runway in his bank for more than 2 years easily, right? More than 3-4 years. So इमरजेंसी फंड भी है उसका, और उसके पास एक रेगुलर इनकम भी है. तो दिस 2 lakh rupees he can easily invest 1.5 out of that, बिकॉज 1.5 के बाद भी उसके खर्चे भी पूरे हो रहे हैं, उसके पास स्टिल 50,000 रुपीज बच रहे हैं, और उसके बैंक में 4-5 साल का रनवे भी है. जी, 3 lakhs per month. वन लाइक 3 लाख रुपए, 1 लाख रुपए उनके मंथली एक्सपेंडिचर में बच गए. जो 2 लाख रुपए उनके पास एक्सेस बच रहे हैं, उसमें से ही कैन इजीली इन्वेस्ट 1.5 lakhs. So you'll still be left with 50,000 cash. Yeah, as of right now, we are bullish on Indian stocks. So I saw this, I showed this slide here. So the US market has done negative 10% over the last 1 year, which was a terrible year for stock market throughout the globe. But Indian market still gave a positive return of 5.9%. So the Indian market, because India is a growing economy, so from a growth perspective, we feel it's Indian market is better than the US market as of right now. Yeah, at least for the next 20 years, India will offer higher growth than the US. Look, Adani is just one stock which was overinflated. I'm sure you're referring to the report that recently came out. और इसके बारे में बहुत सारे लोग जो हैं पहले भी वार्निंग दे चुके थे. It's a dead bubble, you know. And honestly speaking, Adani जैसे players को this is how the market treats them. कोई भी bubble ज़्यादा दिन तक नहीं चल सकता है. It has to pop one day. Like in 2008, so many bubbles were popped, when the global financial crisis hit. This is the rule of capitalism. The good players survive, the bad players are removed. And by bad players, anyone who is cheating, whether through debt, whether through false accounting, like in the case of Adani's false accounting, right? So they will be removed. Once they are removed, the market will be more healthy, right? The pathogens have been removed एक तरीके से. So, and I don't believe Adani is going to fall. There will be severe correction. They might rectify their accounting. They might do certain things, but I don't think it'll collapse like Lehman Brothers or something.
That's a very subjective statement to make.
That's it's a bit early to say.
It's a bit early to say that.
Yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned something about Facebook and something about Tesla.
Yeah.
Now, I want you to really on their corporate governance methods and their accounting.
It's completely different. It's completely different. I agree.
So I think a lot of what you said, and congratulations, you put up a very comprehensive, nice investment toolkit. Typical fund managers do it.
Yeah.
Fund manager, investment manager.
Okay. It's an honor that you are attending.
What is the assets under management you are currently having?
Yeah, so we started around a year ago, and we are managing around 2.5 CR right now. Yeah.
So if I take a typical portfolio size, individual portfolio size of 5 lakhs,
Yeah.
so you are currently handling about
50.
50 clients.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what has been the return experiences for these?
Yeah.
The portfolio over the last 2 years, is it?
Yeah, around more than a year. We started in late 2020. कुछ हमारे जो क्लोज सर्कल थे उनका हमने 2020 से ही शुरू कर दिया था. Then we opened up a little bit more and then a little bit more. Right.
So, what has been the return pattern over the last couple of years?
Yeah, so we have outperformed the Sensex. So let's just say we started in 2020, जो हमारे earliest client थे. So he was my senior in college. So it was around 30%, and that is an abnormal return. I know that it cannot be replicated. Yes, So it has been around 20-30% for 2020, 2021, 20, but 2022 was a not so good year, as you can see. But annualized return, I understand it's a short period, but if you still calculate annualized return, so it would be around 20%. Yeah, yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Correct, correct, correct. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Uh, in the past 2 years, I would say 2 times. Yeah.
Let's go to that sector. And when you do that, just describe it. There is a philosophy of Ethica. Why Ethica? Why the name Ethica? Is there any emotional, sentimental reason for it, or is there an
Right.
audience manipulation? What is it?
So one of the things, why the name Ethica? So Ethica is an acronym for ethical, although it's hardly an acronym, but एक letter कम हो रहा है. So we do have an ethical screening criteria. So we will not invest in companies that violate certain beliefs. So we'll not invest in alcohol companies. We'll not invest in certain sugar companies which provide those raw materials to alcohol companies. We'll not invest in gambling companies. We'll not invest in adult entertainment. से किसी भी तरीके का ताल्लुक will not invest. We also don't invest in finance sector because personally it's not okay for me to engage in anything that has to do with giving or taking interest. So those are the sectors that we avoid. We yeah. Yes, correct, correct. Yes, yes.
In your asset allocation framework, I saw there is some debt element of debt. Now, if you in an Indian context,
Yeah.
if you invest in debt funds, for sure there is a fixed interest.
No, there's no debt. There's there's no debt instrument in our portfolio. Not even 0.1%.
Fine. So in this asset, in this sectoral allocation, what I'm seeing is
Yeah.
you left two categories out. One would be more of the historic, the pattern it has performed historically over the past 2 years, which is real estate. Now,
Yeah.
real estate is itself in itself a sure, short, cushion to grow your wealth multiple times. So that is one thing. The second way, which is quite interesting, I did not find FMCG in your sector allocation. And can you
Yes.
explain why? Or is this, before I take you to my question, why do you think that these are the sectors that you have finalized or earmarked for your sector allocation framework, and why not some of the other sectors?
So we when it comes to real estate, I मतलब हर इन्वेस्टमेंट एडवाइजर का एक पर्सनल कॉम्पिटेंस होती है. So one advisor, in fact, when you go to large hedge funds and mutual funds, so there are multiple analysts for one sector, and they have to spend their entire 9 to 5 analyzing that sector. So there is an issue of like how many sectors can a company cover. With regards to real estate, we avoid sectors that are cyclical, and real estate is very, very cyclical. That is one issue. Uh, there's another sector which is commodities, right? That is also very cyclical, and we would say we got lucky. So we were in certain commodities in 2020, especially in cotton. So cotton did very well in 2020 and 2021. So that is one of the reasons of giving 30-35% return to our clients. But once it sort of reached its decadal high, in many ways we exited from commodities. So that is one reason. As far as FMCG is concerned, FMCG has been a part of our portfolio. This particular portfolio, maybe एक company है FMCG की, but उसका allocation इतना कम है, so we have not mentioned it on the chart. It's Marico. तो this is not a fixed thing. मतलब ऐसा नहीं है कि throughout the year यही रहेगा. It's a dynamic process. So we keep adding, we keep moving. Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
excess
So
capacity.
FMCG has been there, and commodities has also been there.
What I also noticed is
Yeah.
this does not have logistics. You just have steel as a component.
Yes.
Overall, that is the components. We are talking about the political environment.
Yeah.
Okay. I am an advisor on the World Bank and ADB side also, where I go as a national asset specialist and sometimes as a deputy advisor. Okay. So that is the sector where the government has got maximum push and focus right now. The whole infrastructure sector. And you have just one, you just capture one element of it, which is the steel. Okay. So infrastructure per se is totally not there. And that is one
So
of the
in this category of capital goods and so there are certain holding companies in this sector, and there are certain holding companies in this sector as well. So that does include 2, 3 logistic companies in our portfolio. Yes, it does.
in terms of companies, how old are the companies? Most bulk of the companies, how long into stock listing have they been?
At least 10 years.
At least 10 years.
Yeah.
So you're not touching new companies.
No, 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 no. Matlab, in our portfolio of 16, 15, 16 companies, there would be maximum one or two, which due to exceptional reason we would have added, who would be less than 10 years old. But generally speaking, at least we look at 10 years track record before we add them.
Now, what I also believe, and this is a very personal belief, you're taking way too much risk at taking 20%. 15 to 14%
Small cap you're talking about.
no, overall portfolio, 14 to 15% is equally good because at least
Huh,
you're
huh,
not
huh.
taking undue risk to get to a high rate of return. And the steel will be typical example.
And that is why sort of to counterbalance we have precious metals as well. And
So I think from an outsider's
जी
perspective,
जी जी
or
जी
from typical fund managers, you will be doing far more justice to your exclusive portfolio of investors if you were targeting somewhere around 15, 14, 15%. You are still way above the cost of funds, that
हाँ
you would
हाँ.
be taking even.
So the way we look at it is नहीं आपका point एकदम valid है. What you're essentially saying is कि to give those 3% of extra return, how much extra risk are you taking, right? That is the point. It's right, right, right. So that is why we do risk profiling. It is an investment advisory. So if someone is at their 50s, let's say, तो हम उनको इतना small cap नहीं देंगे, you know. So that element is there. So if someone is very much risk averse, so we'll give them more stable companies. But एक और जो बात है कि इंडेक्स रिटर्न ही 15% रहा है, right? So we want to give at least 3% alpha, you know. And I understand everyone tries to do that, and I am aware of the figure of how many people actually succeed in doing that.
So you're
uh,
being driven by what some others are doing.
no, I'm being driven by that. I think if someone is offering a separate investment service, either that's advisory or it's an actively managed mutual fund, so there should be some alpha over the index fund. Otherwise, you should just invest in the index fund, you know. uh, and I think अगर अमेरिका जैसी इकोनॉमी में जहाँ ग्रोथ स्टैग्नेंट हो गई है, जहाँ S&P 500 का लास्ट 20 years return is 8 to 10%, even if that even if in those scenario Warren Buffett's annualized return over the last 2 decades is 20%. So it's not something that cannot be, and he invests in large caps. He invests in very stable, staple companies. So even with lower risk, you can achieve higher returns. And then again, we're not guaranteeing 18%. We will be much happy to give our investors 14% instead of taking due risk and giving minus 20%. So yeah, that's there.
I assume you are proposing an investment from the savings. You're not using it as a hedging.
No, no,
No leverage.
no leverage. No leverage, no shorting, no options, no futures, no derivatives. So if you guys can just do a little bit of favor and just uh, scan this code and enter your details, so I'll be happy. You don't have to do that. And any other questions?
What is the role of astrology and numerology in the stock market?
Astrology of the stock market.
And numerology, I have a friend who
Yeah.
do a lot of astrology and numerology before investing in the stock. And he showed me an app. Yes.
I'm not aware of that.
That is also a science, but which has not been explored. Okay, even like the person which is a CNA, we directly say that it's not a fact. Person which is a
जी.
we should not be dependent on that. It should be
जी. Okay, okay. So we take like 5 lakhs as the base value. अच्छा, अच्छा, अच्छा. Okay, okay, sure. ये वाला right. And this is my number as well. So if anyone is interested in just talking about the stock market, बहुत सारे लोगों का शौक होता है. They just like discussing markets. So I'm available 24/7 if someone just wants to talk about. रात का वक्त रहने दीजिए, but morning till night, you know, to if someone wants to discuss, so I'm always there. बिल्कुल करिए आप. I did my bachelor's in chemistry, industrial chemistry, but then I had a change of interest in finance and business. So then I got into MBA, then I got into this. ठीक है, थैंक यू सो मच. आप लोगों का नंबर मतलब मेरा नंबर आप लोगों के पास होगा, और यू कैन टेक इट फ्रॉम माय मदर. और प्लीज आप लोग आइए, लेट्स हैव डिनर. अच्छा लग रहा है. ओके ओके. तो इसमें ऐसे ही क्लास